Hey, Pisces, Mel, Intuitive Coach here, excited to bring in your July 2025 bonus reading. If you are interested in a personal reading, signing up for the monthly newsletter, or entering into the free reading giveaway, you can find all of that information in the description box below the video. All right, welcome Pisces. We are going to look at sacred shifts and divine gifts. What is playing out for you this month? Bottom of the deck, you have the Strength. This is the energy of compassion. It is the energy of courage, overcoming difficulty, and facing fears. Now, strength isn't something that is just handed to us. Strength is an energy that we find deep within ourselves when we face challenges, when we go through situations where finding our strength is the only option. And I see here that you have compassion for yourself, maybe even compassion for others at this time. You are far stronger than maybe you believe yourself to be. You could also be lending your strength to someone at this time. So this is Leo's energy. So a lot of you are going to see yourself overcoming hardship and difficulties come Leo season. It feels like you are bringing in the energy of balance. I do see that there is justice here, or even accountability. It feels like there's some balance being restored to a very difficult situation that you have endured. Now, let's dive in and get messages from your spiritual helpers. Pisces, you have White Eagle showing up here as one of your divine helpers this month. Connect to your lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. This is beautiful. It could even be that you have compassion for a situation or a person or a family member that you couldn't see through the other side. You couldn't quite get to this viewpoint because of some sort of pain that had obscured your vision. And it feels like you have undergone a lot of personal and profound transformation, and you're connecting to your roots, to your ancestral wisdom here. There may be a lot of family dynamics that have healed, that you've been working on healing within yourself, within others. I also see that you could have dreams or visions or visits from loved ones in spirit who have crossed over. And there may be messages that are attached, messages of love, messages of healing, messages of forgiveness. So White Spirit is connecting you to your ancestors. Now you have Hope here, which brings in love and acceptance. Love is yours. Recognize your divine worth. Choose only loving thoughts at this time. It feels like you're shifting out of fear and moving into love. Because oftentimes when we go through tower moments, or we go through transformative endings and beginnings, we often feel fearful. And I see that you're shifting or transcending that energy from fear to love. And that's what Hope is reminding you at this time. There's something here around accepting what you cannot change. And that's interesting because that message also came up in Aquarius's reading. So some of you could even be hearing the serenity prayer, or perhaps that prayer is significant in some way for you. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the wisdom to know the difference. So it feels like you have this wisdom, ancestral wisdom here from White Eagle. Now, lastly, you have Hilarion. Hilarion has been showing up for a lot of signs because he's bringing in divine healing. And July is a turning point in history, in the collective. It is a really big time to initiate change as we are called to ascend. We are called to raise our vibration. And I see that You are honoring your sensitivity. You're honoring your intuitive and psychic gifts. This is about retreating. Some of you may feel the need to retreat, to recharge and heal. Now we have 4 planets going retrograde this month, and you may feel the need to go within, maybe do some spiritual work, practices, routines. Some of you may be called to spend more time in nature and maybe even reflecting near water. It could be mountains, or you may be called to visit a highly spiritual place. Maybe this is out in nature. Maybe it's a vortex. Maybe it's a mountaintop. Perhaps it is a church. It can be anywhere. It can even be in your own sacred home, a space that you have created that helps you feel calm. It regulates your nervous system. So I see here that you also have this light that is beaming out of you at this time, Pisces, kind of like a lighthouse. Now, what happens when we are the lighthouse? We attract energy. And I see that you have attracted even some unwanted energy at times. And it feels like you have this gift, this light where you are being called to help raise the vibration of the planet, to help be of service to others in some way. So trust in this intuitive call, trust in this beacon of light that you are exploring, that you are putting out there, and trust in your healing journey. I feel like we are all on this healing journey. We've all gone through situations or relationships or struggles, but it's what you do with that situation, how you rise from it. And that's why strength is here, because you are overcoming situations that have been, for some of you, unbelievable. For others of you, it feels like you've had to make peace with something ugly in your past. That could be some of the acceptance. And I see that you are creating more balance. You're regulating the body, the mind, the soul, the nervous system here. Instead of feeling like you are walking on eggshells or in that fight or flight or even hypervigilance, I feel like you're coming back to a space of rest and digest. So let's dive in and get a message from your higher self. What does your higher self want you to know? You have the Emperor. The Emperor reminds you that now is the time to get organized. Now is the time to take control of your life. Because what happens when we don't take control of our lives? Life takes control of us, and we start to live as a bystander in our own story. We are not the active lead role in our own lives. It feels like life is passing us by. And your higher self is reminding you that you are creating your reality through your thoughts, through your words, through your actions. So take back your power if it feels like your power has leaked. Okay, the Emperor energy also reminds you that there's deep healing around maybe a father figure or a divine masculine, or within your own masculinity, female or male, it doesn't matter. But this is about bringing order and structure, discipline and stability into your life. So wherever it doesn't feel structured, wherever it doesn't feel organized, wherever it feels chaotic, right? Wherever it feels restless, Spirit is saying here, okay, let's rearrange these energies. How can we restore order and balance? I feel like this is divine order. All right. It feels like divine order with your other major arcanas coming out, because what is the block or the blind spot for you, Pisces? It could be that the solitude within the Hermit, it feels like the noise, the external noise gets loud. I got to pay the bills. I have these responsibilities. I have, this pressure, this deadline at work, or I have this relationship struggle. I have this health issue. It feels like the external noise gets so loud that it's hard to regain order, structure, and stability, right? And so the block is saying it's important. Not only is it important, it is a necessity. Okay, I'm going to reframe that. It is a necessity to take a little bit of time out, appreciate some peace and quiet for those of you who have been feeling chaotic or hectic in your life. And for those of you that have felt lonely, those of you that have felt isolated, maybe the block here is support. The block could be community, feeling partnership, feeling connection of some sort. So please take it as it resonates for you. But oftentimes the hermit, is about that light, that lantern within. And I see here that you could even be called, as I mentioned, to that spiritual space within your own self, internally, or it could be externally you feel called. But you must listen. Okay, you must listen and make your practice to regulate, to calm, to find peace, make that a priority, because oftentimes we shove that priority to the very bottom of the list. And Spirit is saying here, okay, we got to look at things from maybe a different angle, because that is what is going to restore balance. Now, what is being mirrored? How is this being reflected in your life? Four of Coins. Something is all consuming. Something is consuming a lot of your time, a lot of your money, a lot of your energy, and it doesn't feel good. It's swallowing you up whole. That's why the mouth is here. The world is sitting in that space. It feels like a void. There's a void here. Now, the Four of Pentacles is about managing your resources and finances. Some of you are clearly focused on, building up your financial stability here. It could be healing from health issues. And sometimes health issues can consume us, because health is wealth. And when we do not feel healthy, everything in our lives suffer. And you may be fixated on getting better or healing, or maybe that's where Spirit is saying here, it's time to get organized. In order to feel better, we have to make choices that are going to align with what we want. We can't wish that we feel better, but yet we're eating, bad foods, or we're continuing to smoke or drink excessively, or partake in watching media that, allows us to escape or allows us to be in that fear-based energy. Whatever it is that you are consuming yourself with that is not aligned with your vision, cut it out. And if it is aligned with your vision, continue focusing here on, what it is that you want. Continue taking action, but don't do it to the point where you're burning the candle at both ends, or you are burning yourself out. Take a necessary rest, take a necessary time out if need be, and give yourself the break that you deserve. Now, what is the shift? What needs to be released or even embraced? Queen of Cups. There you are, Pisces. People-pleasing tendencies. The Queen of Cups being released is taking things too personally. It can be drama. It can even be an energy of embracing self-love. It can be nurturing yourself, bringing back the hobbies, the routines, the things that fill your cup. That's what is being embraced. Now, some of you, intuition, right? I mean, intuition feels like intuition has been pushed down in some way, or you haven't listened, or maybe the external noise has been so loud that your intuition kind of gets put on the back burner. When in reality, yes, we have to balance out, the tools, the resources that we have to navigate this earthly plane, which is our emotions, which is our mind, which is, our intuitive awareness. But I feel like you can lead forward in your intuition and use those tools to help you navigate. And so you have here this energy of love. So in a nutshell, what needs to be released? Control. What needs to be embraced? Love. Beautiful. Now, what is the gift? What's waiting on the other side of this shift that is occurring? balance. We have the scales of justice. Some of you may be going through a legal settlement or a battle, perhaps a divorce. There may even be, again, health issues, possibly with a part of the body that comes in like a pair, okay? Because Libra is balanced. So maybe it has to do with like one of your legs. Most of us have two legs. It can be lungs. Maybe there's been issues with, a right or left lung. Perhaps it's eyesight. Anything that we have two of or double of feels like there's been issues around it, maybe ovaries, right? It can be feet. So pay attention to any area of the body. It can even be vertigo, equilibrium here, or, dizziness, balance, something of that nature you may have had issues with, or that could be worth addressing with a medical professional. And I also see that you are possibly looking at energetic healing, maybe all different forms of alternative therapy that can help you bring in balance. Whatever therapies you are using, whatever it is that you are called to explore, there's so many different avenues that you can take that may work better for you. Something may work better for someone else, but it's important here to explore ways to rest and digest here. So getting that parasympathetic nervous system activated instead of feeling like your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, is constantly at the forefront, where it's not meant to be that way, right? We're not meant to constantly live in that fight or flight. Back in the old days, that was reserved for, for fights, caveman days, getting face to face with a lion or with a mammoth. And I feel like we now are constantly in that state of like hypervigilance, where some of you are exhausted, some of you are wore out, and you have this being restored for you. Something is coming back into balance, and trust in this knowing. Now, what is the integration here? What is the outcome, the action or mindset to carry forward? First of all, boundaries. Now, you see that the 9 of Wands, he has gone through a lot. And I feel like you have this warrior spirit, not a victim, right? You don't have to be a victim to life circumstances, because just like we all do, that we are subject to life's altercations, life's highs and lows, life's lessons. The school of hard knocks, right? And I feel like you have the choice here to move forward with a healthy mindset and not let this brick wall that you have come up against, because you can see that this man has his arms crossed across his chest, which means that oftentimes he's closed down. You may feel like you've hit your limit, but I feel like there's a new direction. Instead of going through something, you're finding ways to either go around, go under, go above. It feels like where there's a will, there's a way. And you absolutely have willpower. You have resources, you have tools that can help you move forward here and not feel like you are trapped, blocked, or stuck. And so moving forward, this 9 of Wands is coming in, offering you this renewed sense of determination, offering you this compassion to be able to open yourself up, because as Brené Brown teaches, vulnerability is our greatest strength. And there was a time in my life for many, many years where I was conditioned, or I conditioned myself even by what I had seen, where vulnerability was a weakness. And so I put up this wall, I put up this mask of holding everything together by needing to survive. Like, I did not cry, I didn't want to show emotion, because I had seen that side of vulnerability in its lowest form. And I had attached that belief of, okay, if we cry, this is a weakness. Or if we surrender to the struggle, the challenge in some way, life's going to beat us down, because that's what I had seen. physically, emotionally, mentally. And so it took a long time for me to take down those walls, to open up to receiving support, love, abundance, help. And I feel like you have this opportunity to be vulnerable. That's why the strength is here, to remind you that you can be compassionate and you can still set boundaries at the same time, because that is self-love. Oftentimes we feel like we have to give all of ourselves, or we have to hole up, right, wall ourselves off, because emotional regulation could be something that you have struggled with, right? Struggling with those emotions, with that Queen of Cups energy. But what I see here for you with the Queen of Cups, she's shifting, and she can shift into a more balanced dynamic between her and her emotions. And that's what I see here happening for you, because right behind it, look at what we have. We have the King of Cups. So we have a power couple here. All right. It could be that you are going through a situation where maybe you're no longer in this dynamic for some of you, or there is a balance coming in where you're calling in your divine partner. And that may be why you are being asked to release, release something here that had caused you to put up these defense mechanisms, or caused you to put up a bit of a wall. You can love, and you can be met with love and respect. And it feels like respect has been pushed, boundaries have been pushed, or there has been some sort of discord, because the Justice doesn't just show up out of the blue. Remember, what goes around comes around here, and something has thrown your scales off balance, and that is what is being restored. Pisces, that is what I have for you, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the reading or the message resonated, please hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Lots of love to you.